Hey, science people, how you doing? Okay, we are on our downhill slide from here. 22 days left of school. So today we are going to do a little bit of review. I'm going to introduce a couple new topics. No homework today. We will have homework on Wednesday and Thursday, and then the test will be next week. Um, we'll get into that more probably on Wednesday, Thursday. So I'm going to talk today about the vocabulary. We're going to go over those again real quick. um, beat them, beat you to death with them. So let's just get right into this. Let's get this done with. So photosynthesis. Photosynthesis chemical reaction takes place in plants, takes in carbon dioxide and water, absorbs energy, and creates glucose and releases oxygen. The flip side of that is cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is another chemical reaction, takes place in all living cells. It brings in glucose and oxygen, releases energy, and its products are carbon dioxide and water. Okay, and we've talked about that quite a bit. Okay, so we have biotic factors. Biotic is something that is alive or has been alive. You, me, all the animals, insects, things like that, trees, grasses. A tree falls over and dies, breaks off a branch. You're playing around with the branch. The branch is still biotic because it was alive at one time. Abiotic is something that is not alive, never has been alive. Sunlight, air, water, sand, temperature. These are all different types of abiotic factors. Now we take the abiotic factors and we take the biotic factors, we put them together in a given area. This is called an ecosystem. Ecosystems are all over our planets: oceans, cities, forests, grasslands, deserts, just to name a few. These are all ecosystems. So inside of an ecosystem, you have populations. Population is how many of one given type of organism there are. So let's just talk about deer. There might be tons of animals and things in a given ecosystem, but there are 25 deer. The population of the deer is 25 because there are how many of one given organism there is. The community is all the different organisms combined, how many there are. So in one given ecosystem, there might be 25 deer, but there's 700 different kind of species all mixed in there together. So that's your community, is how they all interact. Now, inside of a community, there's a couple things going on. One, you have competition. Competition are all these different organisms vying for the resources they need. If you go back to that game that we played last fall, oh deer, we were trying to get food, shelter, and water. So all the deer that we were, the deer populations, they were vying for those resources. That's competition. If you didn't get it, you died. Now, these resources are what we call limiting factors. There is only a finite, there's a limited number of, water you can drink, food that you can have, areas that you can take shelter in, and different things like that. So, how much of a population can be supported in a given ecosystem is the limiting factors. I mean, there is only going to be so much water or so much of a certain kind of berry that one animal might eat. So we consider this limiting factors. If an animal does not get what it needs, it can't survive. So this is the limiting factor. Remember the game. We might have 10 deer that need water, but there were only 5 waters available. So what happens? The deer go after the water, only 5 of them get them, the other 5 die. Now, in real life, they might not die. They just might have to go to another area where they can get their needs met. But that is what we call a limiting factor. Okay, so that's population, that's community, that's competition, that's limiting factor. Now let's talk about different kind of relationships. The first one is predation. Predation is where one organism hunts another organism for food. So in predation, we have two different organisms. We have the predator, that is the hunter. This is what is hunting for its food. And we have what is being hunted, and we call that the prey. The prey is the food source, the hunter is the predator. The predator is going after the prey for food. Then we move to another kind of relationship where these are called symbiotic relationships. There are three different ones. There is mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. Mutualism is the one where both organisms win. It's a win-win situation. The biggest one that you probably are familiar with is the bee and the flower. The bee flies to the flower, drinks the nectar, so the bee is getting fed. Um, when it goes down to the flower to drink the nectar, it is getting pollen stuck on the little hairs that are on the legs and on the abdomen of the bee. The pollen is what helps the flower reproduce. The bee flies off to the next flower. It deposits the pollen on the next flower. The flower reproduces as the bee is getting fed. So this is a win-win situation. Commensalism. Commensalism is where one organism benefits, the other does not get anything, is not harmed. So it's neither helped nor harmed. And like I told you last week, a whale. A whale swims around the ocean. It's looking for its own food. It will get these organisms on it called barnacles. They're like this hard shell, has a little hole in it, and they're filter feeders. They suck in ocean water. They take the plankton out and spit out the ocean water that doesn't have anything living in it. So they are filter feeders. The whale gives them a free ride, so they're always getting fresh food coming into them. They don't hurt the whale at all. They don't benefit the whale in any ways. So the barnacles benefit by attaching themselves to the whales, but the whale's not harmed or helped. And the last one is the parasite. The parasite benefits while the host is harmed. Mosquitoes. Mosquitoes fly around, it's the time of the year for them right now. They land on you, they suck your blood. They're benefiting, they're getting fed off your blood. In turn, they're still in your blood, they're harming you. They can give you infections, stuff like that. So you don't get any kind of benefit whatsoever from a mosquito. You're actually hurt by it because they're taking something from you, and the mosquito survives. So those are the definitions. Yep. Of all the things that we went over last week. So the last thing that we're going to talk about, actually two things, are going to be energy pyramids and food chains, food webs. So we're just going to talk about them right now. I'm going to come up with some PowerPoints for you for Wednesday, Thursday, with an assignment on them from there. So the energy pyramid. The energy pyramid, there are three main levels to the energy pyramid. There is the very bottom level, which is the producer. The producers are your plants. They produce energy from the sun. They're producing their own food. They're autotrophs. So we have plants, bushes, grasses, trees, all these things. These are all called producers. Again, they're autotrophs. They create their own food. Now, the rest of the pyramid, or the majority of the energy pyramid, is what we call heterotrophs. You don't need to know this word, but they're called heterotrophs. They do not make their own food. They have to get their food from somewhere else. So we have what is called the primary consumer. This is level 2. Level 2, not level 2. The primary consumers are what we call herbivores. Herbivores eat plants. So a primary consumer gets its energy directly from the producer. Even if it wanted to eat a steak or something like that, it would not get any energy from meat. It has to get its energy from the producers directly. So primary consumers get their energy from, primary consumers get their energy from the producers. Then the third level of the pyramid is the secondary consumers. Now, secondary consumers can be carnivores or omnivores. Let's just go ahead and talk about the omnivores right now. We are an omnivore. An omnivore can either get energy from a producer, from a plant, or it could get energy from eating a primary or a secondary consumer. It can get it from the meat. So we are omnivores. Bears are omnivores. Raccoons are omnivores. So they can get their energy from either source of producers or primary consumers, secondary consumers, and so on. And then above that, we have what is called the tertiary consumer. This is your apex predators. These are strictly your carnivores. They cannot get energy from the producers. Carnivore has to eat meat. It only can get its energy from meat. So it can eat plants all at once, not going to get anything from it. So carnivores get their energy from meat. They are the top of the pyramid or the second level. They can be secondary consumers if there's nothing else above them in a food pyramid. So from there, kind of sitting outside of the food pyramid, and again, I'm going to show you these in PowerPoints on Wednesday, Thursday, are the decomposers. So the decomposers can break down primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, or the producers. They break down the dead organic material and they return the nutrients back into the soil. Forgive me. Excuse me. So decomposers aren't part of the energy pyramid, but they fit in kind of on the outside fringes of it and return all those nutrients that the producers need to be able to survive. Okay, so that is the energy pyramid. Now, food chain is one single line of food. So let's take a coyote. Okay, so the sunlight gives energy to the tree. The tree is an acorn tree. The squirrel climbs up the tree. It eats the acorns. One day the squirrel's running around the ground and a wolf comes, eats the squirrel. Okay, that is a food chain. It went from the sun to the tree to the squirrel to the wolf. That is one single chain of events that gives the energy to the wolf, to the coyote, excuse me, directly from the sun, not directly, but so straight link to the sun. And then finally, there's a food web. Now, food web is a whole bunch of different food chains that cross. The sun gives energy to all the producers. It might be grass, trees, berry bushes. The squirrel might eat the acorns. The deer eat the grass and the bushes. Coyotes can eat the deer and the squirrels, but the hawks also eat the squirrels, but they don't eat the deer because the deer are too big for the hawk to eat. So they're all kind of interlaced together. So again, we're going to go into this to a little bit more detail on Wednesday and Thursday, but today's just a review. No homework for today. And I'm going to go ahead and end it right there. And I will talk to you guys later. Stop by the class. Office hours are typically 9 to 11 every day. I'd like to see you guys all before the school year ends. And remember, probably Wednesday, Thursday, I'm going to set up that yearbook signing thing. If you want to say anything in there, it's not going to be required. You're going to be more than welcome to do that. All right, you guys, have a great day. I'll talk to you later.